Welcome to the Niche Pursuits podcast. Today we're joined by Emily Dyson. Emily has a really interesting story that she shares with us. She's a website builder. She's been building websites for a couple of years, and we center around her most trafficked or most popular website. And this is a website that she had getting 4,000 to 5,000 visitors per day, mostly from Pinterest traffic, until Pinterest decided to update the way that they do their algorithms and the way that they rank websites. A lot of people can probably relate to this. Certainly a lot of websites have gotten impacted by Pinterest not sending as much traffic to websites any longer. And as a result, about a year ago, her website went from 4,000 to 5,000 visitors per day all the way down to below 1,000 visitors. And so with 70 to 80% of her traffic gone, Emily set out to learn SEO. She'd never done SEO on her site prior to that. She'd never focused on it. She'd never really done anything around that. And so she walks us through today the process that her site has gone through to get her site ranking in Google and getting most of its traffic from organic search. We talk about looking at past articles to determine what's wrong with them. We talk about the type of content she's publishing now, the way she does her keyword research, her strong belief in topical authority, and we talk about how AI is playing a role in all of her content pieces. Along the way, I think she just shares some really inspirational stories and inspirational focuses for people, especially those of you who might be at the beginning stages of your website building career. Emily started a site basically from scratch. Not really, but she had a site that didn't have any SEO on it, had to teach herself that SEO, and is now driving thousands of page views per day from organic traffic in less than a year. And so it's really a great story. If you are looking at trying to get into this and are struggling with some of the technical side of SEO, this is going to be a great interview for you. Also a great interview if your site maybe relied heavily on Pinterest traffic and just doesn't get that traffic anymore. So a lot to be learned here and a lot of different stories that apply to a lot of you out there. Enjoy. Welcome back to the Niche Pursuits podcast. My name is Jared Bauman. Today we are joined by Emily Dyson. Emily, welcome.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, cheers. Thanks for being here. It's going to be a great day and a great interview. And today we're talking really niche sites and building niche websites. You have a really cool case study going that I know we're going to dive into and a fun backstory, actually. So maybe let's start there. Can you bring us up to speed on your journey into the website building world and your journey into SEO?
Yeah. My story is quite unique because I haven't always, been growing my website with SEO. So I started with my website about probably about in 2018. I started my first website. And the reason I got started was because I saw that a lot of people were driving traffic to their website using Pinterest. And I thought, I thought at the time, that's really interesting. I might as well give that a try. I had nothing to lose. All I had to lose was time. And I just thought, let me go for it. So I started that. I started trying to drive some traffic to my website using Pinterest, and pretty quickly I saw a success with that. And then that lasted a couple of years, and then unfortunately last year, Pinterest sort of decided that they're going to change a few things on the platform, which meant that my traffic went down from probably, I was getting around 4,000 to 5,000 sessions a day, and that went down to less than 1,000 sessions a day.
Oh geez! Oh boy!
Yeah, it was a pretty rapid decline.
Was it like overnight? It just went, or was it something where with the way their algorithm updated, it kind of just trickled down to that?
Yeah, it was more of a trickle down, and I tried my best, to change my approach, change everything I was doing, my tactics, the way my pins looked, the way I was posting, and it didn't help. Nothing helped.
Because I mean, I know with the Google update, in search, like you'll be here one day and then bam, it's kind of an instantaneous thing. And I've heard so many stories about just Pinterest not performing like it used to. Is that something that, I mean, did you have other site owners that you were in community with that had the same challenges? Do you know of anyone that's really overcome that?
I don't know anyone who's overcome it, but I was at the time when I started to see the decline, I was like, oh, is this something that's just happening to me? Is this something that's happening to other people? So I got on some Facebook groups and did some digging, and it seemed like it was happening to pretty much everybody at the time.
Yeah.
So that wasn't great. It meant that a big part of my income went with the decline in traffic, but it also opened up the whole world of SEO. So it worked out, I guess.
So you had no real previous SEO experience prior to this drop off last year?
The drop off happened probably, I want to say it began in March last year, around that time. And in January last year, I started learning a little bit about SEO. So when the drop happened, I was learning a little bit about SEO, but I was still a beginner, and I was
two
still
months in. It's still a lot to learn there, I bet.
Yeah, I was very confused, and there's so many different technical terms. It was quite overwhelming. So, but at the time when the drop was happening, I wasn't really getting any traffic from Google, so I didn't really have that to prop me up.
Man, so this was less than a year ago that the Pinterest drop kind of started to happen. I feel like that lines up with what so many people have talked about. I have a website as well that was doing okay, all right on Pinterest, and it's kind of, I don't know if it's been as dramatic as your website, but it certainly has lost like at least half of its Pinterest traffic over the last year or two. Luckily, it also gets SEO traffic, so it doesn't hurt as much. But it's really hard to know what to do about it.
Yeah, it is. It definitely is.
So when you started transitioning to SEO, what did that look like? I mean, you have this, I guess at this point, we're now roughly in March of last year, and your traffic, again, I wrote it down, 4,000 or 5,000 pages a day down to less than 1,000. So that's, over 80% of your traffic is gone. Yeah, man, walk us through what happens after that.
Well, I had to make a decision. It was either keep learning about SEO and keep, sticking with what I was doing in regards to SEO, or just give up. And I didn't want to just give up. So I stuck with learning about SEO. I watched so many YouTube videos and I read so many blog posts. And along the way, I just learned like little bits of information, and I started implementing them. With Pinterest, I was posting like recipe style content, and it was very listicle based. So there wasn't really any substance to it. There was no information. There was no value really being provided within my articles. So I had to switch all of that up, and I transitioned from writing about recipes and a listicle format to writing long form articles about anything from like lifestyle content to wellness to anything pretty much. And it was very scattered, my approach, until I wrote one article about manifestation, and that brought in quite a lot of traffic for me. And that's when I realized, okay, I need to double down on this topic. I need to write more about this topic, which is then brought me into the current state of my website, which I'm now focusing on spirituality as a whole, and I intend to stick with that. But even that little bit of knowledge of doubling down on a topic that's doing well, I learned that just from watching YouTube with the whole topical authority. So that's where I learned that little trick.
So I have just a whole number of questions for how you did that transition, because I think that's impressive to teach yourself SEO while experiencing a site drop off of precipitous forms. And I think there's going to be a lot of value for everybody listening who might have a very Pinterest heavy site and that hasn't figured out how to transition that site to kind of more of an SEO site. Before we maybe go into some of that, tell us where things are today so people can kind of get a framework for where things were maybe a year ago, what drop off happened, but now how things are today with your traffic and maybe your earnings or whatever you're comfortable sharing.
Yeah, so my traffic from Google is steadily going up. Yesterday, I actually experienced my new all-time high.
What? Congratulations.
Google clicks. Yes, thank you very much.
We got you on a good day.
Yeah. I've got it written down. That was about 1,791 clicks from Google. So to put that into perspective, 1 year ago, exactly, I was getting 151 clicks from Google. So
quite a large increase.
Yeah, it's quite an increase. And I'm doing my best publishing. You know, it's only me working on the site. It's a lot of work. You know, I hope to eventually get on a writer, get a couple of writers on board to help me write. I'm just trying my best to do one article a day right now. It's quite hard, but
yeah, that's a grind. That's a grind after a while, especially.
Yeah, well, I've come to realize that the more valuable, informative, well put together articles that you post, the quicker you're going to grow on Google. And I always stress to my audience that you need to find a posting schedule that works for you.
Mm-hmm.
Because I can do one article a day, but some people don't have enough time for that. And to make sure that you're consistent with everything and make sure that you're building the momentum up, you need to find a posting schedule that works for you. Whether that's one article a week or one article a day, just find something that works for you and stick with it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a big believer in just sticking with one thing for a long time.
Have you been pretty consistent with your publishing schedule over the last, I guess, almost year now that you've transitioned from a Pinterest focused site to an SEO focused site?
Yeah. So when I started the transition, I was maybe publishing like 10 articles a month. And it was a lot of work, and it was, I guess, I slowly warmed up to the idea of posting more and getting into the whole routine of it. And I spoke to quite a lot of people that had said to me straight, you need to publish 1 to 2 articles a day. You just need to keep doing it. So I stuck with it. I've got some numbers written down. Like last year, I posted 205 articles. So that's not too bad.
It's all yourself. That's really good. That's all. Yeah. It's all yourself cranking out the content. Do you feel like you're, I guess, for lack of a better term, like, are you burning out, or is that, you talked about having a schedule that works for you. Is that schedule something that you've found is the right balance so you don't burn out, but that you still push yourself to publish a lot of content? Or are you kind of running up against yourself there with how much you're publishing?
I think I'm able to do it pretty sustainably without burning out too much. I do think it's important to take a couple of days out. Like last month was December, so it was Christmas, and I wanted to take a couple of days out there, spend time with family. So I didn't manage the whole article a day thing there. But when I feel myself burning out, I will try to do something like to distract my mind, just step away from the computer for a bit and just breathe. But yeah, I would say overall I've done pretty well with sticking to it and not getting too burnt out.
So let me ask about the revenue of the site, maybe compared to when it was at its peak on Pinterest compared to now. It sounds like, I mean, I'm just guessing, like most Pinterest type sites are monetized with an ad network of sorts and driving display ad revenue. Where was the site monetized before compared to now? And is the revenue catching up to where the revenue used to be?
Well, I monetize with display ads, like you say. I'm with Mediavine, and I'll be honest and say, and the earnings aren't where they were this time last year. They're not at that point. And I think that was because I was just driving so much traffic with Pinterest that although I'm driving a lot of traffic now with Google, it hasn't caught up to where it was. So I'm just, I'm not making as much, but I'm having fun with it. And it's all, I know that it will get there eventually. I know that it will recover. I just need to just keep at it.
Good. Okay. Let's talk about maybe some of the tactical things you did to what did you think are the most important things you did to the site to start this SEO traffic that you now have? I mean, you talked about the number of articles you published. Did you delete any old articles? Did you update those articles and add to it? You talked about how you used to be recipe focused. Now you're spirituality focused. I'm just really curious, kind of the main things you did to this site that you think led to its successful transition.
Yeah. I would say my whole approach to SEO is very basic. One of the biggest things that I think it contributes to my success is sticking with one niche, not flip-flopping between different niches. Is that whole building topical authority is something that I'm really big into, and I don't do anything with backlinks. I know a lot of people are into that. I haven't really got my head around that, if I'm honest. I build internal links, so people who will come to one of my articles can then hopefully click through to another one of my articles, which then results in more sessions hopefully. But definitely the topical authority is definitely a big one. I see so many bloggers struggling to generate traffic from Google, and I look at their content. Their content's great. What they're writing, it's all good. Their website's laid out in a great way, but the one thing that they're all doing is flip-flopping between niches. Like they'll be writing one week about finance, and then the next week they'll be writing about beauty, and it's like they're not giving themselves a chance to build topical authority. They're just going all over the place, and I think that really doesn't help. Like one of my methods is, let's say your website or your blog is about skincare. Write a batch of articles about an area of skincare, like let's say moisturizers. Write 30 articles, let's say, on moisturizers, and then move on to a new area of skincare. You might write about cleansers. Write another 30 articles about cleansers. Once you've done that, you can move on to another area of skincare. Write 30 articles on toners, and then once you've done that, you can then analyze your traffic, and you might start to see patterns. You might start to see, oh wow, all the articles I've written on cleansers have all done really, really well. But the ones I've written on moisturizers, they haven't done so well. So then that tells you, okay, I need to write more about cleansers. You need to write more about, do you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, I do. I'm chuckling because you make it sound so simple.
Oh, sorry. I don't mean
it's
that.
good. I think sometimes
simple.
that's exactly what it is, though, because people do overcomplicate it.
Definitely. It's just seeing patterns, trying different things, but try different things within your own niche. You don't have to go all over the place. Pick one thing and do it well.
So you mentioned 30. Do you think 30 is the right number to write to try to, I guess, give it a good shot, right? Because you don't want to write only a couple articles, maybe, because you wouldn't actually be giving Google enough to give you a shot at that silo or that topical authority cluster. How many articles is 30 kind of the baseline, or is that something that you're writing 30 articles because you're pretty confident that this niche will work and you really just want to try to tackle all the big topics right out of the gate?
I would say 30 articles is a minimum, but what people should do is analyze the competition. If you've got some big sites that you're competing against and they've got, again, going back to the skincare example, if they've got 100 articles on moisturizers and they've done that really well, and you only write 5, you're not gonna get there. You need to be looking at what your competition have done and why they're ranking above you. And I think if you figure out how many articles that they've published on a topic, if you can match that or beat that, or get around that amount of articles, you might have a better shot than is just writing a handful. I think I can't remember the exact search terms, but you can go on Google, and I think if you write I think it's site and then like the two like colon things.
Oh, colon, yeah, site colon.
Then your competition, and then maybe a space and all in title and then a keyword. It will show you how many posts or articles that website has written on that keyword. I can't remember the exact name of what that's called, but that's something I do. But yeah, that's something I do.
Wow. And so you're able to kind of see like, oh, they in this topic, in this topical cluster, this site has written 80 articles. You're even 30, you're only going to just be skimming the surface here. But maybe if they've written 8 or 10, that with 15 or 20 or something, you might be able to beat them out. Yeah,
definitely. That's something that I will do. And it gives me a good idea of, some topics are huge, and your competition have wrote hundreds of articles, and it's like you just think, oh, I'm never going to beat them. And if that's the case, and if it's only you working on the site, it might be better to just pick another topic, because you could be there for years, and by the time you've caught up, they're already way ahead of you.
Yeah, because they're still publishing content while you're trying to catch up.
Yeah, exactly.
How else do you analyze competition? I mean, you talked about the site search. Are you using any tools? Are there any of the manual methods you're using to kind of research what's working and what's not with your competition?
That's actually a really good question, because I feel like I do so many things automatically. I don't even think about what I'm doing. I just do it. It's my
job to try to draw those things out. And you're like, oh, I hadn't thought about the fact that I do that.
Yeah. I think that is probably the biggest thing that I do, analyzing competition. I'll also read the articles, see if there's anything that I think I can write in a better way, or any extra points that I could put forward in my article that's about the same topic. See if it's written in a straightforward way. A lot of websites, their content is it's just full of jargon. It's full of just technical terms that nobody knows about, apart from if you're an expert. So what I try to do is see if they've made things beginner friendly and wrote it in a straightforward way, if what they've written makes sense. I think that's a big thing. Is writing things in a way that's easy to understand. It's easy to read. If a beginner came to the article, they would know exactly what you were talking about. Like, you don't have to have any fluff. You don't have to have any jargon. Just be straight about it.
Are you an expert in your niche in terms of what you write? Would you consider it something that you have a passion about, or is it maybe a previous profession, or are you just kind of learning about the niche as you go? I mean, you talk about, what'd you say? I think over 200 articles you wrote, and the depth of the content. How much of an expert are you in the actual space that your website is in?
I wouldn't say I'm an expert at all.
Okay, fair enough.
I learn as I go. If there's a new topic within my niche that I want to go and conquer, I'll try my best to learn about it. so I know that what I'm writing about is going to be the best information that I can give. But no, I certainly wouldn't say that I'm an expert. I have always been interested in my niche. But there's even topics that I've recently been writing about within my niche that I didn't really know about. I'm just learning as I go.
Like
I
SEO,
think
I
that
suppose.
helps. I think it
Well,
helps.
the reason I even asked the question is because I heard you talking about not writing articles with a lot of the jargon in them and with a lot of the technical terms. And, you could make a case that you are almost writing articles, obviously with the needed information and the depth of information, but that almost your position on the topic isn't to be the local expert, but really to be the one who's sharing the valuable information that maybe a beginner or somebody who's more on the curious side of things would be interested in. That's kind of what I was asking.
Yeah, definitely. I think the fact that I'm learning as I go um, helps a lot because I'm writing for people like myself. I'm writing for beginners.
Right. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I definitely think it helps.
So you mentioned a ways back in the conversation that a lot of what you used to be doing that was working well on Pinterest was kind of these listicle style recipes, thin content, I think you said, or it wasn't really in depth. So did you just get rid of all those, or did you go back and update them? What did you do with all this old content that did well on Pinterest, but clearly isn't aligned with where you're going right now?
I just completely left it where it was.
You just there it is.
Just left it there, and I think eventually I will go back and probably delete a lot of it. Ones that aren't getting any traffic, or just not good, just not good content. I'll probably go ahead and delete eventually. But right now they're just sitting there. They're still there in all of their listicle glory. They're still sitting there.
Some people would say that you should delete all that content because maybe it's getting in the way of Google understanding what your website is about, or it's clouding, their crawl and their understanding of your content. Clearly, though, your website is growing quite well in Google search about the topics that you're writing about now. So I'm curious how you would feel about that, or what you would say to that. Obviously, what you're doing is working, and I'm just curious because I know a lot of people would ask right away in the comments here, like, "Hey, why wouldn't you want to just go delete all of it right away to help with that topical authority that you referenced earlier?"
Yeah, and I've heard about people doing that. You clearing out old content on their website. It doesn't align with what they're doing anymore, and like I say, I might get there eventually. I'm sure I will get there eventually to delete all the old content. But right now, I don't. It's getting like they still get a couple of clicks from Pinterest, so I might as well just leave it there. It's bringing in a little bit of traffic.
A little bit of traffic, a little bit of earnings.
Yeah, exactly. So, I guess I could end up deleting them, and my traffic from Google goes up even more. It's just not something I've really prioritized right now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, fair enough. You said you're a one person operation, so managing your time is critical, which is a good segue. So I follow you on Twitter, and for those of you who don't follow Emily on Twitter, you definitely should. She shares a ton of valuable insights. You've just started a newsletter too, which we'll get to in a little bit. I think, what are you, maybe 2 or 3 in at this recording, I feel like, or maybe I've read 2 or 3, but also great stuff on Twitter. And your Twitter handle is the Emily Dyson, at the Emily Dyson. You were talking about how you're using AI for some of your content, and I would be really intrigued to hear about it. And I'll set the stage for anytime we talk AI, it's fun, but typically the people that you hear talking about using AI in their content are people that have been doing SEO for a long time. And that's not to stereotype. It just seems that way. And because AI, it kind of seems overwhelming to try to figure out how to make it make sense. Here you are, a beginner SEO, using AI in your content. I'd just love to hear more about what your process is and how you're utilizing it.
Yeah. So I'm a big believer in AI helps. It makes things simple. It makes things easy. it can help when you've got writer's block. It's right there. It knows what to say. And it knows how to make things engaging, which sometimes can be difficult. But what I don't believe is relying on it completely. You can't just, or I wouldn't personally allow the AI to write the whole article and just keep clicking for it to write a new sentence. I wouldn't just do that and then just publish the whole thing. I more use it as I use it alongside myself. I will outline the article myself, and I will maybe write a sentence or two to get it started, and then let the AI do the rest, and guide it where I can. My process is pretty simple, really. I have a YouTube video somewhere about showing people, because I get a lot of questions on Twitter about using it, and it's like, I don't know whether I just see the world in simple terms, but the way I use it is so simple, and I feel like if people saw me using it, they would maybe be a bit shocked at how simple it really can be.
I mean, it sounds like the outline's really important, though. Like, if you don't have that outline set up ahead of time, then your process might not be quite so simple. It might break down.
Yeah, so I will have the outline, as in the headers and the title, the subheadings. I will put them together myself by looking at what my competition has wrote, and adding bits in where adding my own points, adding my own ideas, and I'll use that as, like you say, the outline of, I know what I need to talk about, and then like I say, I'll write one sentence about one header, and then I just let the AI do the rest until it kind of starts to go a bit off the rails or stuff.
That was going to be my next question. Like, do you have a certain amount of words you're trying to get out of it, or you just kind of let it go until it starts getting a little weird, and then you kind of rein it back a bit and move on to the next header, maybe add your own transition sentence, something like that?
Yeah, exactly like that. That's exactly how I work. Like I say, I wouldn't just let that AI do the whole thing. You have got to sort of rein it in, or put in your bits of value, put in your expertise into it, put in your facts if you need to put in facts. Don't just let the AI do all of it.
What AI tool are you using?
I use Jarvis.
You do? Okay. Yeah, it is, man, it's just, I feel like we could do episodes upon episodes just talking about AI as a tool for content producers. Have you noticed any difference at all in articles in terms of traffic that you've gotten, AI versus non-AI, maybe articles you've written all yourself versus articles mainly written by AI? Like, is it performing almost just as well? I'm guessing it is, considering you're continuing to use it and you pay attention to what's working, but is there any difference in terms of how fast it ranks, or how well it does, how much traffic it gets?
No, I haven't noticed like any difference, and I think it is because I'm pretty strict in the way that I use it, and I don't just let it write the whole thing. It's all about that. I use it as a tool, as a guide. Don't just rely on it 100%. You've got to add your own human influence into the whole process. But no, I haven't noticed any difference with how quick articles rank or anything like that.
Now, how long are your articles typically? Do you have a length you try to go for? Especially with the use of AI, are you producing some pretty long form content, or still keeping some of your articles fairly short?
I'll be honest, and in the beginning, I was all about reaching a word count, and either doing more or just as many words as my competitors. I was really into that, and then I sort of strayed off that path, and now I really don't pay attention to word count at all. I will just write, or allow the AI to write whatever I feel is necessary. I feel like, okay, I've done that pretty well, and that's it really. I don't really look at the word count. I don't try to reach a specific word count. I just write whatever I think is best.
Yep. Yep. Now, in terms of monetization, you mentioned that you're on Mediavine, and display ads are your primary form of earnings. Is there any affiliate play on this? Is there any goal of having, affiliate style content going forward?
I've got a couple of affiliate articles up, but they're just like Amazon affiliate. They don't really generate any amazing amount of money, like probably less than $100 a month. So it's not anything substantial. But I would be open to learning more about affiliate marketing. Where I could, if there's anyone out there that could help me with that, just reach out on Twitter. And I would really like to get my website newsletter started for my site this year at some point. I've got to learn a little bit more about that, because I know that there's some people who are really making like a good amount from their newsletters on their blogs and on their websites, and that's something I'm eager to learn more about.
Yeah, and your traffic, 2,000 visitors a day and growing. You could probably generate a decent sized email list over the course of time.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out how to do it. Again, if anyone wants to help me, I'm open. I
see your strategy here. This is a good strategy. I like your strategy. So let's maybe let's take a step back, because I just think that you perhaps embody so many listeners who maybe feel, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I'm just trying to maybe, kind of make this bigger statement about where you kind of are 1 year into this SEO game and it's working. And I think a lot of people can synonymize with that. They can feel stuck. They can feel overwhelmed. They can not take action as a result of that. And, you're a shining example of taking action. We've talked a lot about content. Mm-hmm. We've talked about how backlinks aren't something you're focusing on right now, something that, is still a little bit kind of, you got to put some effort towards that if you want to start doing that. What about the technical side of SEO? Now, you had the website beforehand, so you clearly, you knew plenty about operating a website, but have you been overwhelmed at all by some of the technical sides of SEO? And if you have, how have you overcome that? What have you learned with the technical side of SEO?
Yeah, it's something that I really don't know a whole lot about. If I'm totally honest, I know about structuring your website and making sure everything's running smoothly and things are loading quick. I know about that, but it's like a whole nother world that I haven't even dived into yet. I try my best to make everything on my website look as user friendly as possible. I try not to allow pages to get too bogged down, too slow. I don't, it's something I really don't know a lot about. I'll be honest.
Well, it's so, I think you're kind of underselling it a bit, but it's very easy you're calling it a very simple approach, but I think the simplicity is that you seem to do a great job about not getting distracted. What's important. Mm-hmm. And for you, it's publishing high quality content with consistency. Mm-hmm. and sticking to it. And within a year, you have some great results. And I'm sure, I'm going to go ahead and say, I'm sure anybody who didn't know much about SEO to have the results you have a year later would be very, very happy with that. And perhaps a lot of people, especially in the beginning, feel like they need to know everything before they get going, and then get distracted along the way, thinking that, okay, it's now my time to figure out how to do backlinks. It's now my time to try to figure out how to, become a technical SEO expert. And so it's really, I think it's very empowering for people who are listening to maybe not get overwhelmed by all the details, to actually take action, to focus on what matters the most, and just continually do it with consistency.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. There's something I like to describe as shiny object syndrome. You're doing something, and then you see someone else, and they're, whatever it is, they're making all this money, or they're getting all these clicks to their website, and they're selling all these products. So you abandon what you're doing and move on to that. And then you're doing that for a while. And then you see the next thing, someone else is doing something and you want to do that. And although it's great, want to try different things and figure out what works for you and what you enjoy. You need to stick with something long enough. And something that really helps me is I've got this mindset where I know that I will succeed. I don't know when. I just know that I will eventually, because if I keep putting all this effort in and keep learning and keep, being consistent, eventually it will pay off. But there's days when like even a couple of days ago, my traffic from Google had gone down, and I was just like, what's the point in all this? I'm wasting my time here if I put all this work in and my chart's going up and then now it's going down. And then today rolls around and I've got even more clicks than I was getting. It's you've got to take a step back and look at the bigger picture, all because one day your clicks or your income or whatever it may be is down. That doesn't represent your whole journey. Like take a step back. One day when things go down, that's normal. That is perfectly normal. Your clicks are going to go down one day. Where you should start to worry is when it's month after month after month, it's going down, 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 down. One day, you really don't need to worry. Like, remember why you started. Like, what motivates you? Why are you doing this? Some people start their journey because they want to help give their family a better life. Remember why you started, whatever that is, whatever the reason is.
It's a great tip. It's a great tip. Maybe we all shouldn't pay attention to our analytics quite so closely on a day-by-day basis. So what's the future hold? What's up next for this site? You published over 200 articles last year. What is we're recording right now at the beginning of 2022. What does the next year look like?
Well, I hope to do about 300 articles this year. I hope, like I say, get that email list, get that newsletter set up, because I know how important, how valuable that can be as an asset to your business, and it's another income source, hopefully. Maybe, hire a writer to when my income's there, I can maybe hire a writer and just keep at it, really. Just keep doing what I'm doing. And I hope that by the end of this year, I'm predicted, if my numbers are right, that for December 2022, I will hopefully have 170,000. I think that's right. 170,000 clicks for December 2022. That's my goal. That's what I want. And hopefully if I keep at it, and who knows.
If you get the typical RPM bump that happens for most sites in Q4, and you get your site up to 170,000 clicks or sessions, or however you want to evaluate it, for the month of December, that would be a very profitable site.
Yeah. I've worked out the numbers, and hopefully I can get there. If I don't, oh well, I'll get there eventually.
I'm just curious, what's the criteria for you to start having a writer come join you and write some of the articles? What are you waiting for? Is there a certain person you're looking for that you haven't found yet? Is there a certain budget you want to, or amount of money you want to make every month before you start paying someone to write? How are you choosing to jump into having another writer on your team?
Yeah, I think it's a combination of finding the right person and having the right budget. I think now I could maybe hire a writer, but I'll be honest and say I haven't sat down and done the proper sums. I haven't done the proper numbers of, okay, can I afford this? Because if I'm hiring someone, I hope that it would be long term. But yeah, it's hard to find people. It's hard to find the right person out there.
Yeah, it's tricky to know when to do it and then to go find the right person, especially if you're looking for someone that's fairly niche specific, or it really has that expertise in your niche, and it adds another layer of complication on top of it.
Yeah, definitely. I did a look not too long ago, and I didn't really find anyone that that piqued my interest.
Yeah, that piqued your interest. Yeah, writers, they don't grow on trees these days, I suppose. You just walk up and pick them. Um, and for people who might want to follow along with your newsletter, what are the types of things you're looking to be sharing in your newsletter? Because it's brand new, and it's to not just so people aren't confused. We've been talking about you looking to start an email list and starting a newsletter list for your website.
Yeah.
But you tweet consistently about your SEO journey, and you now have this newsletter that goes out about your SEO journey to other people looking to build websites. What types of things are you sharing so far, and are you going to be sharing going forward?
Yeah, I'm going to be sharing pretty much anything, that I've learned along the way, any tips, if I find a new technique or a new tool that I think is really going to be really valuable to people, I'll share that. It's mainly like I would say I'm better at writing than I am speaking. So just sharing everything I've learned, and the lessons that I've learned along the way, the different methods, the failures, the whole Pinterest thing. Don't put all your eggs in one basket, diversify your traffic. I'm just sharing everything that I learned, that I've learned. It's very, I'd say it's very organic.
Good. Well, I've enjoyed the first couple, so thank you for putting that together. They look like they take a good amount of time, I'll be honest with you.
Thank you. I'm glad that you like them.
What would you say to someone right now? I'm going to ask you two questions. So I'll ask you the first one, and the second will be similar. What would you say to someone right now who has not started a website and is maybe overwhelmed or scared or nervous about all of the details that go into getting a website nowadays to rank and earn money?
Yeah, it is so overwhelming. There's so many different terms, and it is overwhelming. I can totally relate to that. I think the most important thing that a beginner can do is set themselves a challenge of trying to learn, let's say, let's 3 or 2 or 3 SEO tips, SEO techniques a week. Try to learn as much as you can along your journey, and don't stop. Just don't just think, oh, I've learned everything now. I know everything. There's always something else that you can learn, but take it slow and be patient with yourself. You might have to read might have to read like 5 articles and watch 5 YouTube videos on the exact same topic about SEO for you to fully understand it, and that's okay. Just be patient with yourself and give yourself time.
Yeah, you have certainly given yourself that patience. Oh man, it's you have great patience to stick with this, and I also think the self-confidence to, you spoke about it earlier, but to kind of trust yourself that I'm not going to put a time limit on it, because we all do that, right? We're like, I want to be here by this time, and if I don't, I'm a failure. And not saying you don't do that, but the way you spoke about it, you're like, well, I'm going to get there. I don't know when it's going to happen, but I know if I keep doing it and keep showing up every day, that I'll get there eventually.
Yeah. I learned that through growing on Twitter, because I would, I'd set a goal of, oh, I'm going to get this many followers this month for that, and then when that ended up rolling around and I would meet that goal, I wasn't happy. I wasn't fulfilled. I was always like, okay, the next thing now. And it's all about being content, with what you do, and like you say, trust in what you do. If you make a mistake, we all make them. We all fail at certain things. There's always something. You look back on your journey and you think, oh, I wish I would have done that differently. There's always those types of things. But if you fail and if you make a mistake, that's on you. There's no one else you can blame. You just got to take responsibility, and like I said, be patient. It's okay now. You'll get there eventually.
How about advice for someone who has recently experienced a really big drop off in traffic, whether it's from Pinterest or maybe from Google? A lot of people have had websites that have gotten caught up in different algorithm updates because Google has been doing them, fast and furious these days. And then you've spoken about the drop in Pinterest traffic that happened. I think there's so many people that have gotten caught up in that. You've transitioned the site from focused on Pinterest to focused on more SEO type of traffic. But, what kind of advice would you have for someone who's kind of got that knot in their stomach because they lost 70, 80% of their traffic recently, and maybe what to do going forward?
Yeah, it's a horrible thing to go through, especially as a young person. That's a lot of stress to put on yourself. That's a lot of stress, and your income has gone down. It's not a good place to be. But I think what I would say would be, give yourself time to be upset about it. That's important. But also know when to just pick yourself up. It's like you're either going to throw away what you've done, your website, and move on to something else, or you're gonna find something new. And I think, like I say, take a step back, look at what you can maybe improve on. And that thing that you can improve on might not be clear right away. You might have to take a few steps back repeatedly and then look at everything.
Mm-hmm.
But, eventually you'll figure it out. It's, like I say, it's either throw away what you've done or carry on. And I think most of us would rather just carry on.
Mm-hmm. Well, I want to thank you for coming on the podcast today. And I think it's an inspirational story. I think it's an educational story. And I think that obviously, you're just at the tip of the iceberg here in terms of what you're doing. And so I think it'll be fun to follow along in your journey. I again want to encourage people to pop over to Twitter and follow you at the Emily Dyson. And also it looks like they can follow along in your journey on your email newsletter. And how often does it come out? I think you were saying like once a week or something like that ish.
It's about 2 to 3 times a week.
Okay. Well, wow, that's
not bad.
That's a lot of content. Like I said, that's a lot of work. So very good. Is there anything that I didn't ask you about in closing that you wanted to share that we didn't cover?
No, I think you covered everything really, really well.
We tackled it all. Okay, good. Well,
yeah.
Congratulations again. I'm glad that this January seems to be a little happier than last year in January, February, March, that time period. And, welcome to the world of Google traffic. I will warn you, it's also volatile, but I think you're doing it right. And I think you've got a really good plan in place, and it's going to be exciting to watch what you have in store. So thank you again for coming on.
Thank you for having me. It's been great.
All right. Cheers.